what the conditions are really like at the Qatar Open as Coco Gauff and Amanda Anisimova lose. Some big names have already exited the 2026 Qatar Open: Amanda Anisimova, Coco Gauff, Jasmine Paolini, Ekaterina Alexandrova, Linda Noskova, Clara Tauson, Ludmila Samsonova, Diana Schneider, and Elise Mertens are all out of the Qatar Open. With 9 of the top 16 seeds failing to reach the third round, questions are bound to be asked about what's going on. One factor that is often blamed for upset-heavy tournaments is the conditions. But what are the conditions actually like at the Qatar Open? The conditions are different from court to court. At the Qatar Open, during Coco Gauff's second-round defeat to Elisabetta Cocciaretto, Tina Krizan told Sky Sports what she thought about the Qatar Open conditions. "They're a little bit different during the day than in the night when it gets cooler and slower," she said. "We saw Mira Andreeva struggling, not struggling, but getting used to the conditions last evening when everything was a little bit slower than the Australian Open. But these conditions are quite perfect to play. 27, not too humid, a little bit humid, but nice and sunny. It's not too fast, it's quite pleasant to play in Doha. There is much more wind on the outside courts, and the wind can blow sideways as well, which adds another element to the game, but a little bit less in the stadium. It's a huge stadium. So different conditions in the stadium from outside. It's not that fast, and the ball flies through the air because the desert is very close, but players are used to it. They always have to adapt, every week. Then, Dubai is going to be slightly different. Again, so it's all about adaptation." Krizan explained that while the conditions are perfect in Doha, they do vary depending on which court you play on. For those who practice on the outside courts and then compete on the stadium court, it could be difficult to adjust. Some have clearly struggled to adjust and adapt. Some, not all, though. Who has impressed at the 2026 Qatar Open? The number 3 seed, Anisimova, and the number 4 seed, Gauff, are both out, but the top 2 seeds are safely through to the third round. Iga Swiatek defeated Janice Jen in straight sets, 6-0, 6-3, making light work of the young Indonesian in her opening match. Australian Open champion Elena Rybakina faced more resistance, but managed to book her place in round 3 with a 6-2, 6-4 win over Xinyu Wang. She'll have a tougher time of things in the third round, though, taking on another Chinese athlete, Qinwen Zheng. The 2024 Olympic gold medalist missed several months due to injury but has impressed through 2 rounds in the Middle East, winning in a deciding set against Sophia Kenin and Alicia Parks. Swiatek, Zheng, and Rybakina have all impressed, as has Latvia's Jelena Ostapenko, the 2025 Qatar Open runner-up. After winning a 3-setter in round 1, Ostapenko dominated the 8th seed Alexandrova, 6-4, 6-2, to set up a third-round tie with Colombia's Camila Osorio. Ostapenko now looks the favorite to advance from her section of the draw and reach the semifinals. Only time will tell who will emerge victorious in Doha, but you certainly won't want to miss any of the action. Under the Doha sun. What the conditions are really like at the Qatar Open as Coco Gauff and Amanda Anisimova lose ***. By now, the 2026 Qatar TotalEnergies Open has become one of the most talked about early season tournaments on the WTA Tour. It's a WTA 1000 event, one of just a few tournaments outside the 4 Grand Slams that award 1000 ranking points. And this year, conditions in Doha are shaping not just results, but careers, confidence, and expectations. What everyone is talking about, however, isn't only the upsets, including the surprising early eliminations of stars like Coco Gauff and the defending champion Amanda Anisimova, but the real feel of playing tennis under Doha's sun and lights, and why some players are thriving while others falter. Not just heat. The subtle challenge of Doha's conditions. When fans and commentators talk about conditions at a tournament, it's easy to think only of weather, temperature, humidity, wind. But conditions in tennis are a mosaic of many elements. The climate, the court speed, the balls, the crowd, match scheduling, and even the psychological weight of expectations that in Doha. All these elements combine in ways that are deceptively comfortable on the surface, and subtly demanding underneath. A comfortable temperature, but with variables. One of the first things players notice is the temperature. Doha in February doesn't roast like an Australian Open summer day. typical daytime conditions hover around the high 20s Celsius, around 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and players describe it as generally pleasant or perfect for play. Yet that impression changes depending on when and where you play, day versus night. Matches scheduled in the cooler evening air feel slower and heavier, while mid-afternoon sun, though not extreme, adds a bit of bounce to the ball and a slight humidity that players weren't experiencing at the Australian Open weeks earlier. Stadium versus outside courts. Inside the Khalifa International Tennis and Squash Complex's main stadium, wind is less of a factor and conditions seem more neutral. But on outside courts there's often a sideways breeze, enough to affect service direction or a high-arcing topspin forehand that requires constant adjustment. In short, the weather isn't punishing, but it demands adaptation. Players must adjust not just to different temperatures, but to wildly shifting ball flight and feel from court to court and hour to hour, surface and ball. The invisible opponent beyond the air itself. One of the most under-talked aspects of conditions in Doha is the character of the court and balls. Unlike some hard courts that can be predictable, Dohas are known among players and coaches as medium-paced, not as fast as some North American hard courts. Slightly heavier bounce in the evening, when cool air and lighting slow down flight. Responsive to spin, rewarding players who can combine depth with angles. These seem like technical details, and they are, but they translate into real physical and tactical challenges. A court that is medium but changeable requires top athletes to constantly recalibrate timing, footwork, and shot selection. Most players prefer a stable bounce, where they know exactly what they're getting, but in Doha, even slight difference in humidity or shadows affects how balls sit up or skid. Coco Gauff, a bright star in a dust storm. Coco Gauff's early exit from the 2026 Qatar Open became a talking point, not just for the loss itself, but for how it happened. The fourth seed, world number 5 at the time, was defeated in straight sets by world number 57 Elisabetta Cacciaretto in the second round, a result that stunned many fans and analysts. Was it the conditions? Or something deeper? Gauff's performance wasn't just about losing. The Italian opponent played well, of course, but observers noted Gauff struggled with consistency, missing a high number of forehands and unforced errors piling up faster than winners. The American herself admitted post-match that she didn't feel she showed her best level. Some analysts linked this to the lack of rhythm coming out of the Australian Open, compounded by adjusting to Doha's unique court conditions and seasonal transition. Even though temperatures and